Hey everybody, Bob Chickarell along with Sugar Sean Ray. We're back for another exciting edition of Monday Night Muscle, and tonight's focus, Sean.
It is muscles and misinformation.
And there's plenty of it.
Holy crap. All you have to do is go to social media to get as much misinformation as you need. A lot of guys are like putting out videos saying the Olympia has been canceled, or they're saying this show's not going to happen. They're not even inside the NPC IFBB Pro League wheelhouse, and yet they're looking for likes and follows by trying to do these little videos and talk about things they don't even know about.
Well, this is the problem in today's day is every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a show, and they all want to come across like they got the inside scoop.
Right.
Or it's just clickbait.
Well, one thing I can tell you as far as misinformation, if you want the right information about the NPC Worldwide, IFBB Pro League, Wings of Strength, you go to those sources that are putting out that information. Digital Muscle here is a source that's directly tied to things happening within the IFBB, the NPC World League, and the Olympia platform. So this is where you're going to get your information if you want facts.
Well, we're right here at Olympia headquarters, so I'm sure Big Jake, who's literally right down the hall, would have said something if the Olympia was canceled. But listen, like Sean said, there are three places to go for information, okay? The NPC News Online.
Right.
Us here at Monday Night Muscle, all right, the official designated voice of,
right,
and the IFBB Pro League website.
Absolutely.
That's it, okay? If you hear anything from anybody else, take it with a big grain of salt, but we're here to clear up some of those rumors today. The Olympia is not canceled, okay? Correct. It's not going to be canceled. It doesn't even matter. We've had this conversation with Big Jake and Dan before. Listen, if they came up with a thing tomorrow that said you can have nobody in this place other than competitors, then that's what we would do.
Yeah, just like the Oakland Raiders. They have $1 billion stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah, right.
No one's allowed to come and watch the games for television, but the games will continue. Vegas.
You'll sneak your way in there somehow.
I'll find my way in there. But like Vegas and the COVID thing, it is a moving target. Every state has a different governor with different things happening. But the one thing that's not slowing down is the promotion of and the infrastructure of the Olympia qualifying shows, and our ability to put on the competition.
Listen, the Olympia will go on. Listen, tickets are already sold out for the VIPs. All right. So for those that can get there, you're going to see one of the greatest Olympia lineups of all time. Especially with Phil Heath now getting back in the mix.
And that news just came out to address it. We know that the promoter Dan Solomon did an exclusive interview with him on the Olympia Instagram. For those of you that haven't seen that, hear it directly from Phil Heath, 7-time Olympia, on Olympia LLC Instagram. Promoter Dan Solomon interviewed him exclusively. A lot of questions that weren't asked that maybe you and I can kind of cover in terms of the muscle, the madness, and the misinformation. Now here's a guy, 7-time Mr. Olympia, 2-time Mr. Olympia runner-up, a 4th place in the Arnold Classic, and I believe he was 3rd or 4th place in his original Olympia going back to like 2009, I believe it was. And he's been off for 2 years. Had 2 stomach surgeries. Dan asked him point blank, would you do anything different the year that you lost the title? I believe it was 2018. And Phil Heath said very categorically, absolutely not. And I'm thinking, you just lost the contest. You wouldn't change a thing. So did he accept defeat, or does he feel like he was slighted?
I think he answered a little too quickly on that without really thinking the question through. I think what Phil meant is that he wouldn't change anything going into the show.
The contest prep.
Correct. The prep, the mindset that, listen, he's got the mindset of a champion. He's a 7-time Olympia champ. You got to give him that. I don't think he really thought the question through enough. Of course you would change something. You would win, right?
But I didn't hear that from him, which is why I was surprised.
I mean, he had to have gotten some feedback. Phil can look at himself and he can assess. He knows the midsection was a problem and an issue. So chances are, you would probably change the fact that, okay, maybe I could have held my midsection a little bit tighter. I know you get tired when you're posing and all that stuff, but you really got to kind of tune into that stuff when that's an issue.
It didn't sound like he thought it was an issue, which is why I was taken aback.
It was an issue.
Because he didn't acknowledge the stomach at all in any level of that conversation. It was almost like he just kind of glossed over it. But I think to a person, everyone thought that He won literally all the mandatory poses, sans the stomach issue.
Correct.
But you never heard him say, I had surgery. I had 2 surgeries. I've addressed the stomach situation.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do now, knowing that my stomach was an issue. I've seen the videos. I've seen the pictures.
Right.
I've gotten the feedback. I've worked with my coach. There's ample enough information in there to kind of explain maybe what he would have changed, but we didn't hear him say, I would change a thing. So if he doesn't change a thing, and he shows up on that stage, Sean Roden's not there, but Flex Lewis is, Brandon Curry is,
Dexter Jackson is.
Would that look in 2018 be enough, sans Sean Roden? Would that be enough to beat these guys?
No.
Yeah.
It's not. And now listen, Phil is a much better bodybuilder than everybody you just mentioned. All right. In my opinion, it was still close enough. He could have gotten the nod against Roden. Okay, it was that close because he does beat him in all the other poses pretty much. That's the one section that you got to have under control because it takes away from all the poses.
From the front, from the back, and from the side, the midsection was tied into literally every single pose.
You could be missing a body part and still get away with it. You know, like Dexter said many times, they don't even look at calves. You know, his calves suck.
Well, they don't.
Right. Again, it's kind of universal. Ronnie never had the best calves, right? I mean, you know, we can go on and on.
They don't look at the calves, but the stomach, you can't.
Roden doesn't have the best arms or chest, okay? Everybody can be missing something, but you can't have that as the center point of what everybody's focused and looking at. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about the judges, okay? The public opinion means nothing, but those 11 judges that are down there, they're looking, and that's all they see. Don't forget, the year before, Sean, it was an issue. Absolutely. Now, it wasn't as big an issue, and it didn't cost him the title.
But they did fire a warning shot to Phil, letting him know that this will not be accepted going forward. And actually, Phil came in with a worse stomach in 2018, which is why he lost the show. But I still have not heard him acknowledge that that was the reason he lost.
Well, he doesn't have to acknowledge it. What he's got to do is fix it. Okay, here's the issue. Now, whether it's a control issue, whether it's something from surgery, that of course that, you know, it can only go so far. You know, we've seen torn pecs that have been repaired, like a Tony Freeman type of thing, where they can only get it back so good. That has yet to be seen. But if he doesn't have enough fire under him right now, okay, putting himself back in the lineup, 2-year layoff. He's not going in as the champ. Now, he's not used to that.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a while. There's only one other man in history that's actually gotten the title back.
Jay Cutler,
that's
2009.
Jay Cutler, 2009. Flex Lewis, his buddy, okay, 7-time champ in the 212.
He hasn't lost in a long time.
He hasn't lost in a long time, and he has no intentions on losing this one.
And he has all the tools, I might add.
Brandon Curry is got a fire lit under his butt because he's got Phil Heath going back in.
Yeah, and
he wants to solidify his placing. That last year wasn't a fluke. That, hey, I didn't just win this because these guys are out of the lineup. I'm here to show you that I can beat these guys. So he's fired up.
As a matter of fact, he just did his COVID-19 test to prepare to fly back over to Kuwait and work with the guys at Oxygen Gym and do what he's always done, which has got to put something in the back of Phil Heath's mind. Or is Phil Heath even acknowledging and accepting the fact that Brandon Curry is the Mr. Olympia and was never a threat to him?
Well, he's never beaten Phil. Now, you know me, I'm a numbers guy. Okay, Brandon's never even sniffed Phil when Phil was winning Olympias and Brandon was working his way up. Now, we got to give credit where credit's due. Phil also has not faced Brandon Curry as we know him now.
As a grown man.
Yeah, I mean, now he's kind of grown up a little bit and he's supersized. And it's a different Brandon than when you were beaten, just like when Ronnie Coleman was getting beat by all these guys and all of a sudden they weren't touching Ronnie Coleman.
Right.
So that's a whole other element. Then you got Dexter Jackson. Now, Dexter, he's the old war veteran. He's in there. He's in his 20th Olympia, which is incredible. He's going to retire on the stage. Listen, he's going to give everything he's got, Sean, into this Olympia. If he could go out on top, what a story that is. So, I mean, you got a whole bunch of guys with a whole bunch of stuff to prove. And we haven't even mentioned Hadi Chupan, Big Rami. Ruli Winkler. We haven't even mentioned these guys
provided
yet.
they make it back.
William Bonac.
These are guys that are definitely.
We got to go on the assumption that all these guys can make it here and they can compete, and we all hope that for the best of everybody because we don't want to see athletes that can't get here. That would be a shame, but that's out of our hands. But let's just stick with the lineup right now. Do you think that Phil Heath, in any way, shape, or form, believes that he could lose this Olympia?
Listen, his confidence has got to be pretty high. Because this is a contest he should have been in a year ago. But he needed the time to recruit, to recalibrate himself. I know that his girlfriend, fiance, wife, I'm not sure, she went through some medical issues. Yeah, she wasn't feeling well. I know he recently went through a move.
Yep.
I know he was doing a lot of things off the bodybuilding thing, but I knew at some point in time, this is what he is.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Olympia. The occasion is not too big for Phil Heath to rise to. I'm not an advisor. I haven't spoken to Phil Heath in a very long time, and he's been MIA. No one's seen a physique shot since he left the stage. He wasn't doing guest posings. He hasn't been shooting a bunch of videos. We've seen him with a tank top here or there, but Phil Heath could basically restructure that look because he's a guy that could come in 10 pounds lighter.
Yep.
Remember Ronnie Coleman in 2001
Yep.
at the Arnold Classic after he won 3 Olympias? He downsized to 247 pounds, and he walked off with the 2001
And
Olympia.
arguably his
Classic.
best shape since '98.
I was there.
Yeah.
I recall that. So this was my final year of competition in '01, watching Ronnie from the audience at the Arnold
No
Classic.
wonder you're retired.
Yeah, by the time he showed up at the Olympia, he wasn't as good in the Olympia '01,
Right.
the year I retired, but he was better at the Arnold. Phil Heath has the time to do that. He doesn't have to come in and do the things that he once did that I think probably contributed a little bit to the demise of his physique. Let's be real. There's only been one Olympia champion that got better at the end of his career. Do you know who that was? I love stumping you.
One champion that got better at the end of his career
Was better than he started.
Well, it's not Ronnie. It's not Dorian. He injured himself out. I got to go with Lee Haney.
The greatest of all time, Lee Haney. Not only did he retire at 31 years young,
I know, right?
With 8 Olympias.
Yeah.
I mean, that he did 9 Olympias to be honest, because he got third in his first one. But at 31, he was barely getting ready to hit his prime.
Scary to think about.
Yeah, with Dorian Yates standing in front of him. Now, Dorian was a shadow of himself at the end.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Ronnie was not the same bodybuilder at the end as he was at the beginning. And even Arnold coming out of retirement in 75 to 1980 wasn't as good. And he was young. Arnold might have been 29 or 30.
Yeah, he was still in his 20s, I believe.
So Lee Haney did that. We're dealing with an aging 40, 41-year-old Phil Heath coming off of a nice 2-year break. Whereas these other guys haven't taken the time off.
Yeah.
Flex Lewis, a lot younger. 2 years off for him is a lot easier for his body to digest. Phil has everything to gain here. I don't think he has a lot to lose because if he loses, look, I mean, you're coming off a 2-year layoff. You're coming off of 2 stomach surgeries. There's a lot of pressure on this guy to be the man that he once was.
Well, one thing to Phil's credit is there's nobody on that stage he hasn't beaten multiple times.
That's a confidence booster.
Big confidence booster. 2, he's chasing history. I mean, listen, we're not going to see this again in our lifetimes, bro.
He's trying to tie Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney for the most wins in the history of the show.
And potentially still young enough that he could go for 9. He could establish himself as the winningest Mr. Olympia of all time.
Well, that was on the table a year ago too, but I don't think mentally he was there.
True, but he's got that opportunity now. Should he put number 8 in the books, he can go for number 9 next year. Listen, we're not going to see that again, bro. We'll be collecting AARP cards.
Yeah.
Okay, if we ever see a guy that gets in that position, think about it. We would have to be doing this for another decade. A guy would have to come up now. Okay, let's just say some guy comes out of the blue next year, right? He's just a world killer. He's Drago.
We've seen it. It happens. The Shadow came out of the blue. 1990, no one heard of Dorian Yates.
You'll be an old man, bro.
Yeah, I will be. I'm already a grandfather. But here's the thing. So we're not even looking at a 2-year process for Phil Heath. With the Olympia being in December, in less than 1 year, he will be competing in 2 Mr. Olympia championships should he go back in 2021. So if I'm Phil, I am thinking, not only am I chasing history, I'm trying to secure my financial future. And I'm also trying to segue out of the game because if I can win number 8, I've only got another 9 months to get to, or 10 months, I should say, to get to number 9 and stand alone and secure my financial future. And who knows what the opportunities are going to present in 2021. So he's got to have a lot to digest.
Well, you're looking at 400,000 reasons to get back into this one.
And potentially more in 2021.
In 2021, listen, 2 wins is almost $1 million.
Well, the prize money could increase in 2021.
It could be $1 million. Okay?
Absolutely.
Plus all his other stuff, endorsements and things and stuff that comes your way when you're Mr. Olympia and guest appear. All of a sudden, you're in demand again.
It's not chump change.
No, Brandon Curry, when we had him on, this was well before Phil decided to get back in. So, but I did talk to him recently. Now, Brandon, the consummate professional. Now, he's as gentlemanly as they get since Lee Haney. I mean, he's that guy, Doesn't have a bad word. He's very positive and all that. He's taking this as a challenge, though. Now, I know everybody's got to put their face on when it comes to this stuff, Sean. Well, no, listen, I welcome everybody, and I like to beat the best and all that. Secretly, because you've been in this position on that Olympia stage, are the guys kind of licking their chops going, oh man, this is my chance to beat the champ? Or are they kind of going, crap. Like I thought I had a shot, now Phil goes back in.
Let me tell you, I mean, there's a small handful of guys that wish Phil Heath was not in the show because it's going to cost them some money.
Yeah.
That wherever they were in their economy, they just moved down one notch because of Phil's resurgence. Ronnie Coleman, when he won the Mr. Olympia, that wasn't in his economy. He wanted to be in Mr. Olympia,
right.
And he was living the dream. And then suddenly he won it, and he realized it was very valuable to him. It changed the life of his family, the perception of his profession. And here we got a guy with 7 Olympia Sandow trophies. His belly should be full. He's traveled the world. He's got 3 million followers. He works with Danny Garcia, the ex-wife of The Rock. He's got a relationship.
Manager.
It's opened doors for him that he probably never thought imaginable. Now, picture yourself taken out of that limelight for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you have a chance to do it one more time. And that one more time could parlay itself into 2 more times. I don't think he is addicted to the fortune and the fame so much as the history.
Agreed.
There are very few athletes that will ever have this opportunity. And when you have a chance to make history, you got to jump in with both feet. Forget all those 7 Olympias, forget those 2 runner-ups, forget the prize money that you made and all the places you've been. This is about history. It will live long after he's left the earth. Listen, we still talk about Larry Scott. And all he did was win the first 2 Olympias.
That's right.
We still talk about Franco Colombo. He won the Olympia in 75 and also 81.
76.
Sergio Oliva, 67, 68, and 69.
There you go.
These guys are long gone, and we still talk about them and revere them. Phil Heath doesn't have to win number 8, number 9 for us never to forget him, but we certainly will always have him front and center of every bodybuilding conversation if he ties number 8 and he wins number 9. But it's a lot at stake.
But this is it. I mean, when you say he's got this is his opportunity. Listen, bodybuilders don't get better like fine wine as they go on. We both know that. Maybe in their heads, and they think, I'm going to make a comeback. We've seen 2 comebacks in all these years that were decent. Okay?
Right.
That said, Phil has a opportunity right now to tie. He's still in his early 40s, so he's not, he's not too far gone. He's still got a fresh-looking physique.
Ronnie Coleman won into his 40s.
Yeah, Ronnie won into his 40s. And listen,
Chris Dickerson was 43.
Rodin's in his 40s. So, that whole thing has changed from back in the day when guys were generally winning in their 20s and 30s, okay? Right. Phil's opportunity is right now.
Yes.
Like, this is it.
You got 4 months to
He goes in and listen, and he may have just made the announcement, but he made up his mind a long time ago that he was going to come back in here and try to get his title.
It's not a snap judgment. Yeah, absolutely.
No. So, again, he's got everything going for him and nothing really going against him. Now, if he loses, if he loses.
Yeah, here we go.
Does he hang him up at that point?
Listen, you can't.
Is it over?
It's hard to talk to a person who's used to winning about losing. He knows what the taste of defeat tastes like. And when he lost the title, I mean, he still made money, $150,000 for the effort showing up and whatever appearances. I mean, it's not the worst place to be, but knowing that he was second twice, I had that taste in my mouth in 94 and 96. It's what got me out of bed for another 5 years of my career. No one wants to go home a loser. And it doesn't matter if you're second in the world or even 10th in the world. When you lose, it does something for your motivation. It gives you a perspective of what it's like to win. So I have to imagine that Phil, the age is no longer a consequence. It matters none. I would give him the advice that you got to come in lighter. Look at Ronnie Coleman in 2001. Study that. Maybe even talk to Ronnie. Ronnie, what did you do to streamline your physique? Because we don't need to see a bigger Phil Heath.
No.
That's not part of the criteria. Right now, we want to see Phil Heath pared down, a little bit lighter, more athletic. A lot of people liked Phil early in his Olympia run. Towards the end, he got too heavy, just like Dorian Yates got too heavy, just like Ronnie Coleman got too heavy. My advice is to lighten it up. Brandon Curry, my advice is keep doing what you're doing.
I pitied a fool that counts out Phil Heath.
It's going to be an interesting show.
I'm curious. I really want to know the mindset of some of these guys, and we'll be talking to them a lot as we're coming up with some of the shows that are qualifiers for the Olympia. I'm real curious as to the mindset. Again, I know what gets said out there in interviews, but again, we've both been there. You a lot more than I have. What's going on in here? Dexter was very quick in every interview he's ever done to basically say if Phil shows up in 100%, we're done.
Yeah.
And he says that with all due respect. He's like, look, man, we all know it. He'll laugh about it. But he's being truthful. He's saying, man, I can't touch him. We can't touch him.
Yeah, that was, me in my final year of competition with Ronnie Coleman after seeing him at the Arnold. I said, there's nowhere to go here.
Can't beat that.
I'm done. I mean, Ronnie Coleman sent a lot of people off into retirement.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, with the comeback of Oksana Grishina, Adela Garcia, Iris Kyle, James Flex Lewis, Phil Heath, is this a contest that anybody can afford to miss? Because I certainly wouldn't. And if you can't be in Las Vegas, you got to get your tickets at MrOlympia.com. Coming up December 17th to the 20th, Zappos Theater in the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. And Bob Chick and myself and Monday Night Muscle will be there to bring you all the action at digitalmuscle.com.